that point. Again, we wanna thank the DPW for all the work they did down at, Chase Park. It's looking good, we'll cover Chase when we get to Chase, but we just wanna say, hey, thank you to them. So, do we wanna wait for Kyle, to see if Kyle shows up for election of officers, and we can come back to that?
I haven't heard anything from him. I mean, I can message him.
Yeah, let's message him.
I feel like it's fair for
Right.
him to be here.
Okay. Did you print out the April minutes?
I did
Get
not.
a chance to print the April minutes. Anybody reviewed the April minutes?
I did.
You didn't? I did not get a chance to, so I had to get you.
I mean, I didn't do a hard study of them, I just read it and it looked okay.
Okay,
I read over him. I didn't see anything.
okay.
Yeah.
So do we want to accept the April minutes?
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the.
Actually, hang on, let's do it for the, sorry for the minute taker. Let's introduce ourselves, so
Oh,
someone
yeah.
kind of knows the voices. I'm Dave Levine, Vice Chairman.
I'm Matt Beeler, Secretary.
Ronald Gilman.
Randy Dixon.
Sorry about that.
No, it makes sense. Okay, so yeah, I will make a motion to accept the April minutes as they are.
Any further discussion?
I have a question, do the minutes include the closed door session, or just the open?
No. Non-public is not included in the public minutes.
Okay. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna have to check on the OneDrive and see where that was at. We didn't look at that. We do have a couple of bills here, we have it from Fournier for the startup. For Bolton, it was $1,156.13.
Is that a detailed bill, Dave?
Yes.
You mind passing that my way?
What is that for?
For the spring startup for Bolton.
I don't, what
We have
service?
to basically turn on the
Is it for the sprinkler
for
system?
the
The
sprinkler
irrigation.
systems. Yeah. So it was $1,156 for Bolton. For Inison, it was $323. So Inison was only 1 hour of technician's time. It was 5 hours down at Bolton. But Bolton's a lot bigger, a lot more round, so I would pass those.
Yeah, well, heretofore, from my experience, the sprinklers on the soccer field haven't worked or been acceptable for a number of years.
Correct.
So hopefully, this will help with that, or?
I spent some time down there with their tech, going over things. We searched for all the heads down there. We looked for leaks. We tried to review all of the zoning. There was some problems with some heads. A lot of them were super buried. Some of the valves had acted up, so they weren't actually getting the water to the heads. I didn't spend a whole bunch of time down there, but the guy who was down there, I talked to him about it. He knew what our expectations were. He understood that there were issues from before. Like noticed, there was a huge break in a wire from last year when somebody cleared that brush.
In a pipe, you mean?
No,
In a wire?
the wiring was
Okay.
also cut.
Okay, because there was a pipe that was
Yes.
just
Yes.
cut and
Yeah.
hanging there.
So a big chunk of that was him having to rebuild all that wiring. Looks like he had to do 6 heads, kind of expected. I noticed that there were multiple ones that were acting up. Did some troubleshooting. We were trying to figure out We had a problem where it's a natural artesian well, and it's heavily natural pressured. All winter long, when the system is off, it just pours water out of the wellhead,
Where is the wellhead?
up behind the shed,
Which shed is?
the green shed at the
At
playground.
at the playground.
At the playground,
Yeah.
okay, cause there's one up by the softball field
Yes,
too.
yeah, no, it's the green one, behind the playground, so that floods that whole area. With the system on, however, it drains down at the bottom where that pipe was tore up, it drains out down there. But we were trying to figure out all of that stuff while I was down there, where's this pipe going, where's that pipe going, that kind of stuff. So yeah, a lot of this is parts replacement, troubleshooting, where's things going.
Tracing stuff.
Tracing stuff, yeah. This doesn't really look off to me, considering the amount of time they spent down there, so.
So I would recommend, you wanna do those as an individual, or wanna do them as both, cause they're the same,
I think we can do it as both, because it's the same company, we'll just, identify each invoice, independently.
okay, so we're going to recommend that we take it out of account 682, which is park maintenance.
Okay.
There's certainly $3,000 in that account.
Okay.
You wanna hand those back and I'll,
Yeah, sorry.
so, agree to pay. Approve to pay.
Somebody wanna make a motion to approve to pay the invoices for Fournier?
I'll make a motion to approve to pay, Fournier to pay the invoices.
What's the invoice numbers, Dave?
Invoice number 51436 for 1156.13, and invoice number 51375 for $323.
Okay.
And park maintenance account 682.
Okay. I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the only other one is the standard telephone bill for $47.53, which comes out of 341. And I know we purchased a few things, we haven't gotten the bill yet. We did like less than $20 for chase part for rope and some of the supplies that we needed to get the swim lines moving.
Okay.
Invoices.
Kyle is out of town on business.
Oh, okay.
So, are we all set with expenditures and budget? Okay, do you want to proceed to officer voting?
Does he want to be?
I'll ask him. Since we don't have any bylaws formally approved all the way, we can kind of run officer elections however we choose, because there's no rules right now. I take that back. There are some rules we still have to abide by.
All right, while we're waiting on his, we'll slide down to, there's no real changes on the annual, no changes on the annual calendar. Actually,
Is,
put these two on the annual calendar. I thought we approved both of these last time, and I don't know if we contacted them to say it was okay. We have the Ware Public Library, they do story time, they've done it every year on a Wednesday. Basically, the end of June,
Chase?
At Chase, yes.
Are the pavilions reservable?
Mm,
Technically, no.
Technically, no. I mean, usually on a Wednesday, usually there's nobody there, so it's usually not a problem. And anybody who normally goes in on a Wednesday morning kind of knows that it's story time and they go on. We do have one from the Montessori school. They're looking to do a party on June sixth. What day is the sixth?
June sixth is gonna be Friday.
So the park is actually still technically closed at that point. It's not open during the day until Memorial Day.
Wait,
Wait.
hold on.
Memorial Day should be before
No,
June.
Memorial
So
Day
they're
is this
open-
weekend.
They're open on weekends.
They're only open weekends till school's out.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So they're only open weekends till school's out, which would mean that we'd have to send a staff person over to
Open bathrooms.
open bathrooms, there'd be a lifeguard.
I think my recommendation would be either ask them to
Actually, hang
reschedule.
on, I misread this, I'm sorry. It's actually Bolton. I misread this. It's actually Bolton Park, so
So we're
they're
good.
fine.
Yeah.
They're fine on Bolton.
We did, I think we did discuss that last
Yeah,
time.
we-
It's-
I
it's
thought-
starting
Sounds
to be
very
familiar.
familiar.
Yeah, we did do, they do wanna do, sorry, they wanna do Bolton Park, and it's, unfortunately, it's first come, first served, so
What are they, 9 to noon or something?
they're 5 to 7. And they wanna use it, they wanna get in by 4 and set up. The park is open,
Yeah.
so that they can go in,
It's a Friday.
it's a Friday.
Do you
Like,
compete
I'll make
with-
sure I'll make sure I call them and say, yeah, this is approved, you just,
Well, WAC may have the field.
Yeah.
You'd have to look
no,
at that.
no,
calendar.
WAC has ball fields, they do not have a picnic area.
They don't want a field.
No, they want the playground, they basically want
About the playground.
the picnic area and the,
I'm fine with that.
yep. And I'm just gonna remind them that it's carry in, carry out.
Carry and carry out, and to, be careful, things are still under construction.
Okay, so I will contact both of these two people tomorrow and let them know that they're approved. So we'll go on to, unless you've got an answer back from him
I
yet.
haven't got a response
Okay,
yet.
so we'll go on to Chase.
Okay,
Car stickers are in.
perfect.
Both stickers are due in tomorrow. This weekend, it will be returning staff only, just because it's usually just an absolute mayhem. We weren't able to get any training in this past weekend. So we're just going to have the returning staff and the new staff will start cycling them in the weekends after, because the returners kind of, they know the drill, they know what's going on, and can just, last year we just were able to roll people through pretty quickly. Just as a public thing, we gotta make sure, and I'll talk to them, I'll talk to Naomi tomorrow or Beth tomorrow, and make sure that it's posted on the website, cash, current vote registration, and the stickers have to be on the boat. So, the 2025 registration.
Registration needs to be valid on the boats, yeah.
That cash or check or just cash?
Cash, they will take a check, I don't think we've, in all the times I've ever put it in deposit, I've very rarely seen a
Okay.
check, but I think we would take a check. We don't do,
Credit cards, yeah.
Yeah, no cards.
Right.
so. And the boat has to be boat and trailer have to be cleaned in order to be able to go in the water. Anything else for Chase?
I don't have anything, and I haven't seen anything in emails specifically about Chase, so, thanks for everything you guys are doing out there. Oh, what's the update on the gate?
I did not get, Naomi was gonna have, the DPW go out and look at it. It can get open, it's gonna take two people to get it open, and two or three people to get it back closed. Unfortunately, I was doing it myself, and it was,
That gate's not easy to close by itself in the first place. Can-
working, it's
Yeah.
to do by yourself. Not
Exactly.
working is,
Does it need a pin, or can we shove a long bolt in it to have it functional? No?
you know, what happened is it broke underneath.
Okay.
The pipe that goes down is basically bowed, so unfortunately, it just, was only a matter of time before it would snap, and it just snapped. So they need to put a new post in order to get it to repair, so I will check and see what they were able to figure out. Both gates, I mean, if they were, even if that gate was to fall down, the inside boat ramp gate is still locked, so both gates are locked, so
You'll at least not get access to the water.
there's really no access to the water. It's hooked together, so even it were to fall, it would just be a mess.
Well, as long as it didn't fall on somebody, or a young person who's working there trying to close it.
We're gonna make sure that, and this weekend we are only open, we're open up 9 to 6 all 3 days. So we haven't gone to the later 8 o'clock time frame, until we get out of school.
Okay. Makes sense.
There was something, as I recall last week, about a couple of picnic tables hadn't been moved to the right spots yet, or,
No, the picnic tables got moved this past weekend.
okay.
I dropped, when they came in and brought in the brand new ones, I put one by the front gate, and then we put the other ones kind of down the hill, so the main beach, and then there's another set of stairs, and we call those the Red Cross stairs, cause that's where they used to do all the swim lessons, so that's where the name came from, and I've never changed it, that's what it's called. So they're actually down there, kind of in the shade. It's recommended that they kind of maybe stay out of the direct sun. Water bottles, half-full water bottles sitting in the direct sun may heat up enough that they may leave a mark. So we were trying to put them in places where they're in the kind of off in the shade, in the shadier areas of the park, just to try to preserve them and keep them lasting as long as we can keep.
Are they treated like with polyurethane, or are they
No,
just?
they're like composite.
It's like a Trex,
Oh,
right?
okay,
It's
yep.
like a composite, almost plastic is what I would say, but you know, they're really heavy duty, they're they're solid. I mean, they're heavier than
Yeah.
the Boy Scout picnic tables that we got, and that weighs a lot because it's pressure treated and things like that. The nice thing is we won't have to paint these this year, which will be a nice added bonus, and then if we get money at the end of the year like we did last year, whether we start to look to continue to replace the tables.
Yep.
None of the tables walked down to the water this year, which is a good thing. Last year, we actually had to go pull it back because somebody brought it all the way down to basically the edge of the lake.
Oh, boy.
So, and all the Boy Scout benches are still where they were.
Awesome. Awesome.
So we'll go on to individual fields. So Matt, do you have an update on Bolton and wood chips?
So I'm still working on it. My contacts are not working out for me, so I'm gonna put out a request to the town. And if we end up having to use wheelbarrows, then, you know, that's what ends up happening. It's taking a lot longer than intended, absolutely. But I thought I had help, and that help is not available. So I apologize to you guys and to the town, for that. We were speaking about the irrigation, that seems to be resolved at this point. We have had issues with dogs on the field, still. I know there's a sign at the football field, I think, but not on the soccer field or the baseball, I wanna say. Maybe we consider signage for keeping dogs off the fields. I don't know, WAC hasn't said anything specifically to me yet, but, it could become an issue in the future. There has been some issues with the dumpsters not being there. People have been leaving small amounts of trash by the Porta-John. I went down there when I was doing some other stuff, did a trash bag full of pickup, whatever. It's not that big a deal, but it's happening.
Well, we haven't put up signage yet, have we?
I
That
have
it's
not
carried-
brought the
Cause I haven't
signage down
seen
there,
it, I
no.
was down there the other day.
No, I have not brought the signage down there.
Okay, so that's something that you need help with, or do we have the signs that we?
I've been told that
Signs
they're
are
upstairs.
Okay,
Okay. Can we grab those before we head out tonight?
Yeah.
All right, and I'm free tomorrow, so I can
Okay.
take them all out tomorrow.
Put one at each,
One at each field?
yes,
well, how many signs are there?
3 or 4.
4 or 5, I think. Whether you put it right, I just say you'd almost have to put it right when you're coming in, so whether you go right or go to the left.
It should be right up front, right when you pull in, because there's so many fields down there, and then you can use the other signs too.
Yeah, I figure one at
The other
Purington,
fields.
you know,
Yeah.
that covers the whole thing. One at Idison probably, cause
Yeah.
there's only that one gate. And then, yeah, maybe one at the entrance to Bolton, and then
one down a
one
little
down
closer.
below, and
Yeah.
maybe one at the ball.
Kind of
field.
near maybe where the dumpsters were,
Yeah, that's true, yes, yeah,
'cause
that's
that's
true.
where people would be looking.
Porta-Johns seem to be working great for us. They're clean. I haven't seen any issues with them. I think everything's going smooth with that.
Have you heard anything as far as people liking bigger bathrooms?
I haven't heard anything either way.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either way, whether people kind of, hey, thank you. Just so, I don't know if you know, Ron, we went to the big, I think you were here for that meeting where we opted
Yes,
to go to the.
yes, I was.
We went to the ADA one just to, cause we have older folks and
Yep.
grandparents and things like that who come to watch their kids, just to make it easier and for those, they're not having to try to step
Accessible.
up. You
Yep.
can just open and walk straight in, and I think it's part of the safety thing is just.
Yeah, I do too. And I think the parents who do have younger kids who need to be changing them, they probably really appreciate it, to be honest. I know if mine were still that young, I would definitely appreciate it. Okay, so the shed is in rough shape, like we've already noticed before, and it's getting rougher.
We're at Bolton now?
At Bolton, the maintenance shed where the
Yep.
irrigation is, it is in really rough shape. Now that the back side of it is drying out, I can get a better idea. Basically what's happening is every winter, that well is just pumping water into the ground underneath it, and the shed's sinking under its own weight.
There's nothing in it.
Yeah, exactly, like there's well
I had to
stuff,
say,
yeah,
there's
like,
not a-
yeah.
There's not a lot of weight, there's not
Yeah.
much.
It is built pretty sturdy though. It's got its own weight pretty good, but we're gonna have to
You also have the
probably,
doors too, right?
the doors need to be replaced or rebuilt. We basically need to lift the shed and get some squarer, wider footing underneath it to distribute that weight better. Right now, it's just sitting on 4 cinder blocks, you know?
Now, just out of curiosity, what if we were able to figure out a way to help divert the water around the shed instead of letting it come right under and sinkhole?
That is another step that we're working on, is I planned on getting some, irrigation pipe and T-fitting it off there is a drainage swale that goes around behind.
Yeah.
It's just not making it over there. That would help the situation, but it still needs to be
No, it needs to be
leveled and
lifted.
stabilized, yeah, and the doors still need to be done. Wood chips, I already went over. I'm working out the situation with the slides. And then, of course, the sandbox and the covers can't be done until the wood chips are moved, and that's complete. But that's pretty quick to happen after the wood chips are out, you know. I'll probably use the same equipment to rip the remaining of the sandbox ties out, and then start building the sandbox from there. So I'm working on it. But
Do you need a piece of equipment to move said wood chips?
how big is your equipment?
I have a mini excavator.
How small?
It's an 8,000 pound machine. It's not very big.
Okay. So the reason why I asked specifically is DPW was with me last year to help out, and the ground was so wet that they sank. We dug trenches because, yeah, so that would be awesome. That's where my contacts were supposed to be bringing small tractors to
Do
help.
you also need wood chips?
We have plenty of wood chips.
Well,
there's wood, we have playground.
Yeah,
We have
grade
playground chips, yeah.
Wood chips, which are different than
Yes.
the
Regular
other.
wood
If
chips.
you have regular wood chips, they can, once the park is open, you can, if you have a load of wood chips to dump in there, you can,
We could use them for the path, we could use them in the picnic area, kinda.
there's different spots that we can put, you can use the wood chips.
Absolutely.
So, they can go,
Why don't you and I figure out a time? We'll go see what's going on, and
Okay.
then.
I mean, I'm just worried right now with all the rain that we've had.
No,
that-
there is a lot of rain that we have had and that is coming. However, I am willing to help in any way that I can.
Alright, yeah, you and I will get together on that, and that was the other problem, it's so wet, everything just sinks. Alright, and that's it, that pretty much covers Bolton.
Alright, tennis courts, I haven't heard anything bad about tennis courts, they seem to be going. I did see, we also have the tennis court slash skate park, I did see the landscaper, I did talk to them, and I said, hey, look, you guys haven't done inside the skate park. So I said, hey, look, you guys are responsible for inside the skate park and 1 foot outside the fence. Basically, drop your weed whacker and go around, around the inside and around the outside and clean up all the garbage on the inside. So he's going to get to that.
See, I
Seems
can-
like a nice set of guys that I got here, so.
I can address some more to the landscaping as well.
So, and if you notice the gazebo was all done, so they got the wood chips down, kind of on the gazebo field, and they're kind of, you can see that they did the library and all the other buildings right in the center of town, so it looks really good.
Yeah, they did very good.
Hands off to them, to them, they got it done.
Yeah. We've had a few complaints with the landscapers. I think it's small stuff and misreading contract, miscommunication with contract. Grass clippings not being bagged as requested for some of the fields. The ball fields weren't getting dragged on time. I believe WAC already spoke to them and got that arranged and straightened out.
Well, part of it is also, they didn't actually start till May first,
Yes.
so.
And it was their understanding that that's when they were supposed to actually start, was May 1st. I've spoken to ASAP a few times now, and one of the reasons I spoke to them is because they were misunderstanding what exactly was going on with the contract. The edging wasn't being done, and then some brush clipping issues were had, but as far as I understand, that's all been taken care of at all the fields, and WAC knows to shoot me an email if there's any other problems, and I'll contact ASAP about it.
So, you have anybody have eyes on Purington?
Yeah, I do. Everything seems fine out there.
Okay. And then Inison, you said you had some issues with Inison.
So, yeah, we received an email today from Jessica Fuller. She's the WAC softball director, for those who don't know. I'm gonna read this out for everybody. I would like to inform everyone that I had to make a police report for vandalism at Einison today. On multiple occasions now, the fencing we have put up on the softball field for safety has been destroyed. The destruction includes bending and snapping of fence poles, cutting of the fence in multiple spots, holes cut in the batting cage, and the poles being displaced and broken on the batting cage as well. The electrical box on the side of the dugout was also tampered with. At this point, I have completely removed the fencing and will be removing the batting cage shortly as well, as this is an added expense that should not have to be continually added. Due to this repeatedly happening for more than one season with the advice of a police officer who is also a softball coach, I have made a police report. Please let me know if you need any more information. A follow-up email from Mike Preventer, who is the head of WAC, was, "Thank you, please follow a police report. WAC will be looking for reimbursement for our expenses, period, at park. Please follow up, and I would suggest you also file a police report."
So are they looking for us to pay for that?
That's the way I read that.
That's the way it reads to me.
It's the way it reads to me, too.
Well,
What-
that's how I just interpreted that. I mean,
Exactly.
unfortunately, you're putting up things on our fields, I'm sorry to say, we're not covering it.
Was it vehicles on the field, did it look like?
They did not say anything about vehicles on the field, so I can only assume that this is individuals going down and destroying stuff because they're bored.
I remember several years ago, there were vehicles on that field that
Yes.
chewed it up pretty well.
Yes, I
And-
remember that. There was-
And WAC covered the cost of fixing the divots and reseating it, as I recall.
I wasn't here for that, so
I
I
don't
don't know.
remember I don't remember who paid for it. I think WAC helped us on that, if I remember correctly.
They helped with the football field, right, when that happened too? No?
The
That was
football
on us.
field was, court ordered that the person had to make payments back. Whether that actually ever came to be, I'm not sure, but that was between the lawyers and the individual on that.
So they caught him.
Obviously, it seems to be an ongoing issue. Obviously, there probably hasn't been any discussion to maybe put a security camera up, whether that be a cell cam, or game cam.
We can't put cameras up.
There's a whole
Okay.
world that's involved with us putting it. We've talked about it in the past, and it opens up a whole new world of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I guess I was just more or less interested in the vandals, cause it seems like it's been an ongoing issue at that field, obviously, across
We've had
the board,
issues at all
but-
at all of our places.
Well, last year at Bolton, the day after the DPW, York raked the parking lot, somebody came in and did donuts
Yeah.
probably that very night.
Yeah.
So, well, one of the things that we might need to think about long-term is where the lines are delineated between DPW, between Parks and Rec, and between the private entities, football, WAC and stuff, who use the fields, and who's responsible for what different things.
Right, and unfortunately, while they're being allowed to put things onto the field, and so they're putting up their batting, they own the batting cage.
I was gonna say, did we pay for the batting cages or anything like that? I would say we're responsible for the field and the upkeep, but if it goes beyond that,
Yeah, cause WAC supplies their own nets, they supply
The soccer goals, the lacrosse goals,
the
the,
soccer goals, the lacrosse goals. I mean, granted, the soccer nets at Einison are permanently in the ground. They're in the ground, and there are bars that go back, but they've gotten almost overgrown that
they're buried.
they're buried. But I mean, we don't supply the nets or anything else like that. That's all, unfortunately, we just don't have it in our book. Well, we'd love to, but we don't have it in the budget to be able to supply that type of stuff. I mean,
Now, I'll play devil's advocate. From their side, I think their argument is, well, it's town fields, therefore it's our responsibility for them to be secured in liability. Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I mean,
That's probably their argument.
whether we go to, I mean, I know it, whether we ask the police that, I mean, it's just one more thing for them to do, to have to go lock both fields and to lock Einstein and Purington and Bolton at night.
It might have to be that way.
But then they have to have somebody in the morning go back and unlock them.
So we talked about this in the past with Bolton specifically, and although they said they would do it, it's not a priority to them. So, you know, if they're on patrol and they roll by Einison at whatever rough time we say we'd like the gate to be closed, absolutely they would do it. In the morning, same thing. If they're going by on patrol and it happens to be around the time frame we'd like it to be opened up, great. But that may not happen if their cars are called away, if a call comes in and they don't go by at 7 a.m. so that the gate can be opened at Bolton for everybody for practice and games starting on Saturday morning, they may not be able to do that, and they wouldn't be responsible for that happening. I don't know. With Einison, it's so close to the road, you can walk right underneath it. Granted, there's nowhere for anybody to park, but, I mean,
Other than right in front of the gate.
yeah.
Which is gonna basically, anybody driving by and seeing the gate closed, you're like, alright, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah,
Bolton obviously is a ways in that people can get in and,
yeah.
so. I mean, I had at one point was contemplating, you know, everybody take a park, and we assign a park to kind of everybody just,
I was
based off of where,
just thinking that idea.
where, it all depends on location and where people are at, who's closest to what parks, that it makes,
I'm open to that conversation, and maybe we do need to have that conversation.
and whether you just swing, you roll through once or twice a week, just at the kind of the beginning of the week and the end of the week, go, hey, it looks good.
I was just thinking that in my head.
Or do we talk about people locking and opening fields every day? I mean,
That,
I know, it's almost beyond the scope of, it is beyond the
It's
scope
beyond
of
the
being
scope
volunteers.
of volunteering.
It is.
yes, I mean, and it's beyond the director position because that's not,
It hasn't been spelled out. And, yeah, we never said that the director or the committee or commission is responsible for, securing, other than Chase. I think the only thing we said was Chase had to be
Chase is
secured.
part of the lease agreement, so that's why Chase is continued, other than during ice fishing season when it's kind of open. Once ice fishing is done, it's basically, it's secured. And people who are in afterwards are technically trespassing, and we've had issues where we've actually had to go up there with the police and kick people out.
So as,
And, you know, they have the no towaway zone, so they can technically have their car towed.
so as far as security, securing the gates, I'll reach out to Ware PD again about, I can't remember if Wax people have the gate codes to the fields.
They have them to their sheds,
Yeah,
and they have them, I mean, we have them to, you know, the one to the, whatchamacallit, concession stand down at Bolton, our shed at Bolton. We don't have the one for their little shed in the back of the baseball field, but that's really not that big. That is at some point, whether that needs a grip rail put on it, on the one on Bolton, just because the doors are just warping and or the roof needs to be extended out about, either one or the other, either
Yeah.
put a grip rail or you put a new roof on it and extend it out about 6 inches so the water will run off. But right now it's just running off and running straight down the doors. But I'm close to Chase. I swing through the middle school, and I can have eyes on whatever, so it all depends on,
I
I
mean-
really have Bolton, Barrington, and Ineson.
Well, I'm close to Bolton, but I'm not sure that being available 7 o'clock in the morning and 8
No,
o'clock
I'm,
every
I'm
night
not,
for.
no, I'm not
for-
talking about unlocking gates, I'm just talking,
Just peeking at the field.
Oh, I
just
peek at the
peek it-
field all the time.
yeah, so
I'm
basically,
Bolton all the time.
yeah, so basically just, hey, Bolton look good,
Yep.
we got a whole bunch of trash, we need to think about trash.
I live behind Purington, I drive by it a dozen times a day, so I'm always eyeballing that.
Well, it's almost like we're gonna be field monitors and we're each gonna have a field. I mean, I mean, I'm a trail monitor for some hiking trails, and I do the same thing. We report in and like, you need a bridge here, or there's trash here.
But that leaves you with Ineson.
I mean, I can, I'll, if it's gonna help the cause, I'll pick up Ineson, I'll go once a week.
But yeah, I'll reach out to Ware PD about the gates situation again. And again, my only concern is the early mornings on the weekends when WAC needs to get in there for games. Cause they won't be able to guarantee what time that gate gets
Yeah,
open.
yeah.
But I don't really wanna necessarily give WAC
Code,
the codes, because that means they're gonna have to distribute it to the coaches, and now you've got
100 people.
100
with it.
people in town with the codes to the gates, and then why have a lock on the gate?
Oh. Well, it requires some thought. I mean, it's a complicated problem. It's been
Yeah.
going on for a long time. We're not gonna solve it
Yeah.
right now. But again, I think having some delineation on whose responsibilities of the various entities would be important. Because I'm not sure, I agree with you, I'm not sure that it's our responsibility to reimburse WAC for damage to their equipment.
I agree.
At the same time, in a perfect world, we would have the money to put up soccer nets and batting cages and all that, but the reality is we don't.
It would be way different if they were there existing and then and WAC kinda took them over, but that's not the case.
No.
So, part one of that, the delineation, maybe, do we invite WAC and DPW to come to a meeting and we iron out, do we do a working meeting and iron out?
I don't think you need DPW. I mean, it basically comes
Well, yeah,
down to-
DPW's been pretty cool with the roads, no matter what, like,
Yeah, I mean, it's more of just, well, we're sorry that the damage happened, it's your fence, it's
Your nets,
your nets, it's your, you either have to claim it on your insurance, cause the town is not gonna claim it on, I know the town will not claim it on theirs. And having to deal with dealing with the middle school and their fence, their breakaway, it's breakaway poles. They're designed to break, they're not designed to be,
permanent.
well, no, they're not, they're designed to break. If somebody goes flying into it, it's designed to snap on
to give
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
to give way. And we're constantly fixing them at the middle school because the kids jump over them and everything else like that. So, yes, I understand it. The posts are not the strongest. They are.
Do you wanna reach out to the PD to file a police report? Would you like me to?
If you want to, that'd be great.
Alright, I'll call him tomorrow. Okay. And,
They've already got one. I mean, we basically, you say, hey, look, we noticed it too, but I guess you already got one. So that way they don't have two of them open. If they say, hey, we want you to open one as well, then we can open
Yeah.
one as well, but.
no, I'll call them and see what they want from us, if they wanna speak to us. And how do you wanna, do you want me to address WAC?
Sure.
I think we should have an official vote on our stand as far as, reimbursement for damages.
Okay.
Just so that we have something to point back to, so,
Well, but I think there's damages to equipment and there's damages to the field
Correct.
proper.
yeah.
I mean, so, and and I don't know, I mean, if somebody drives on the field and does donuts, who's responsible for that? My understanding is a couple of years ago that WAC took care of the Inison problem. So we need to see how that's gonna,
I'm just talking about
We
this
need to put-
specific
I need
incident.
something, we're gonna need to go, somebody's gonna have to go put eyes on that field and say, yeah, there's damage, physical damage to the field, and we're gonna have to look to get it repaired, we're gonna have to call, the new landscaper to see what they recommend, see if they can fix it, or we're gonna have to get another estimate from someone else.
I can swing in Inison tomorrow afternoon. That's as early as I can get out there.
I did drive down there for some reason last weekend, and I saw the fence, and I didn't know if it was wind damage or if it was car damage or something, but I saw that the fence was partially torn down. There was something there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just talking about the specific
This-
request from WAC as we interpreted it of seeking reimbursement for expenses. What is our answer on that?
I would say no.
No, but, because it's basically their fence and it's up.
Their equipment, our field, but their equipment.
Yeah.
But if we say our field, we've gotta, live with somebody damaging the field.
Correct. If someone went out there and did donuts on.
Oh,
that
no, I mean,
field,
we're
that
we're
sucks.
looking at that argument down the road. I think that is definitely,
But by saying, we're setting ourselves up by making that delineation that the field is ours and the equipment's theirs.
It's a town
yeah.
field, I mean, it's,
I think the
unfortunately,
town should take care of the field. I mean,
it's the town's field, and unfortunately, it's not, you guys are putting up a fence on the field, which I didn't know they were starting to put up a softball fence.
that just happened in the last year or two.
Right, I think it's happened recently that they actually put up a fence. When my kids were playing, there was no fence, there was no.
Just keep, hit it and keep running, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had one girl who basically just, couple hit the park home run, they had a big yak, cause they never hit it over the fence. Were able to run and get it, so, I mean,
okay.
Do you want me to take a shot at working on a framework of delineation as a point of discussion, as a point of departure to see what we think, just kind of to outline it?
I think, yeah.
And go from there?
because, I mean, I know we've had this discussion and we've said it to I know we've said it to the generals and we've said it to WAC. WAC technically still owns that building at Inison because they have not, it hasn't passed the inspector's thing. Whether we start holding their feet to the fire and saying, hey, look, you really need to get this done. This has been going on. I've been on this almost 8 years now, and it's still not been handed over to, handed over. So, but the whole thing is the town insurance will cover the building, nothing inside. So all of your equipment and everything else, you need to have insurance to cover anything you put in that building.
And I believe actually when Generals asked to put in their Connex down at Bolton, we said that they had to carry their own insurance on it and they were responsible for the Connex, correct? That the
Yes.
town would not be
But
responsible for
they're
anything that
looking to
happened.
put in that shed, but I mean, I think, I don't know if the lacrosse guy, who else has stuff in the, what do you call it?
The proposed Connex?
No, in the building itself.
Oh.
Inside the concession stand, there is equipment
Okay.
currently.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's who owns that, but there's refrigerators, there's all of that stuff. And that would be the other thing is kinda going, I mean, I know the one at Carrington is shut down. That concession stand is basically it's not usable, whether, how we get, what we do with that down the line, I don't know, whether we end up,
Do we own it?
yes,
Yes.
whether we end up just bulldozing it to the ground. I think it's attached to the dugout, correct?
No,
I don't think so.
no, it's behind home plate.
No,
It's not,
kind of off on third, it's up more on the third.
well, yeah, but it's not attached to either of the dugouts, no,
You can walk between that building
Yeah,
and the,
yeah,
and
and
the,
the
and the,
fence.
and the fence.
and everything else, yeah, it's a completely self-standing, self-contained structure, except for the electrical.
Fire department, you want a bird, you want a practice bird?
Um,
But back in the day, that was, I mean, there was always hot dogs and sodas and.
yeah,
Yeah, no, from what I understand, the floor basically rotted out, so.
they felt it was no longer safe to use, they couldn't guarantee food safety and stuff like that. Okay, I think maybe when you go down to Idison, can you look at the electrical box? And see how bad it's been tampered with? I think that would be the only reason we would contact and ask for a police report, is if that electrical box has been seriously messed with.
Yeah.
Cause that would be our property that's been messed with.
Whether we, cause I know that that's up there, but why there even is electric all the way over there? The other thing we really gonna have to do is get into the shed. And I don't know where that power would be coming from.
Well, I don't know which box they're talking about, but I mean,
No,
there
there is
was.
a box attached to the side of the first base dugout.
Yeah.
There is a little power block there, and when we were doing our field walkthroughs, it was loose. So whether that's the one that they're referring to, and yes, that would be our responsibility, and whether that just gets completely removed, because there's really
No need for power on a dugout.
there's no need for power on the dugout. I mean, why, we just have to make sure we go back, I try to figure out where the power for that is actually coming
Yeah.
from.
When I go there tomorrow, I'll look over it thoroughly.
Okay. We also, in the process, in the past, I don't know, it just popped. Another email from WAC. Down at Bolton, the football field gate is no longer locked. It appears somebody cut the chain. Also, the locks for the soccer and baseball field gates were cut. I knew about the soccer one. I actually went down and retrieved it and turned it over to Pam. So all of the fields at Bolton right now are wide open.
I wonder if it's a landscaper.
It
That's,
very well could be.
that's what we're assuming.
There hasn't been one on the softball field for at least a year. The block is just gone.
Yeah.
I don't know where it went.
I don't know,
It's
he-
softball or either.
the baseball field at Bolton?
Baseball, yeah.
Okay, it's been softball, I mean, it's,
Well, I use those interchangeably, ball field.
Yeah, it looks like the football field chain is laying on the ground. He sent a couple of pictures.
yeah,
So,
any of that stuff would be ours, so we'll have to get with the landscaper and find out if they have got the keys, cause they should have a set of keys.
Well, as I recall at the last meeting that the previous landscaper had turned in their keys.
yes,
Yes,
So did we not get them to the new landscaper or?
that was supposed to be on ASAP to arrange with the town. Apparently they have not. I will call ASAP tomorrow and find out what's going on with that. They should not be cutting our locks regardless. And tomorrow I will purchase a new lock for the football field gate, if you guys are good with that.
yeah, and that would do like one of those four-thing combos.
Yeah. I'll get a matching one like I put on the Bolton gate. It's a nice
Well, actually, the
master
one on Bolton Gate's still there. The lock itself is locked
to the chain.
to the chain.
Yes,
At the,
But that way
at the
we-
street gate?
the street gate.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
we put it, that's the easiest place to put it, so then when we lose it,
Yeah, just
Yeah.
leave it attached to the gate, yeah.
leave it attached to the gate.
Yeah.
Whether you pull that one and put it further inside and say, hey, here's the code. My guess is it may have been
Well, it seems like you need 3 locks, you need a football, soccer, and a baseball. one.
But it's up for us, are we gonna lock all 3 gates? I think we were only really focused on football because of what happened with somebody driving their truck on it last year, or the year before.
I would
It'd be-
lock, with the amount of damage that continues to seem to happen,
Just lock them all.
I would lock them all just to keep them.
We can at least
secure
say, hey,
and
we
safe
locked
as
the fields.
possible.
Okay.
Yeah. The soccer, I think you can get a
And then what we'd have to do
card.
is,
Either way, they're
make
gonna
sure you
need
get me the
locks.
code and, cause it's actually, and make sure that ASAP gets it and then,
What's our balance in park maintenance right now?
we just spent, park maintenance, we just spent $1,400.
Out of 3
What about
grand,
park repairs?
1,600, right?
Sorry, I don't have a copy of the current,
Park repairs, we've only spent $75 out of park repairs.
what's our balance total on it?
2,925.
Okay, so would you guys be comfortable with a motion for me to purchase 3 new locks and 2 sections of chains, so I can lock up all 3 gates down at Bolton?
Yes.
Yes.
Combo locks.
Combination locks, yes.
Combination locks, that we
Yep.
can then,
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to purchase 3 new combination locks and 2 sections of chain to secure all 3 fields at Bolton.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I do think if we find out that the landscapers had cut them, that we might ask them to reimburse us for.
I would agree
Because
with
they
that,
should have, they
100%.
had access to the keys, all they had to do was get them.
Agreed.
It may not have been them, I mean, who
That's-
knows?
yeah.
But since they were cut and there was no other damage done other than the grass being mowed, I would
Yeah, but if you're gonna,
just
if
get,
you're gonna be smart, if you're gonna cut it so you can get in, cut the link right next to the lock, and don't cut the lock,
Yeah.
yeah,
would be the most smartest thing.
I would think the chain would
It
be
could
a
be
lot
a quick
softer.
overlook for an employee. Just,
At the end of the day, he's tired,
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
just
man.
another
I'm
blade of
down here
grass to
again,
mow.
the gate's locked again, I don't have the key, they said cut the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 5 o'clock, I wanna go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna
It's not
spend that
right, but
out of park
Yeah.
repairs. Okay,
But,
The only other thing we would have would be, normally they go right through Naomi, is, do we know when the patriotic celebration is?
yes. Patriotic is happening June 20 and 21. I thought they had put in the request for gazebo, or did they do a blanket request?
They usually just go directly to, selectmen.
Okay. So yeah, so I have the 20th and the 21st as the patriotic.
Okay, so then you need to talk to the landscaper, and we need, if you're talking to them, that would be the other thing to add to them, is they need to mow that
before,
Monday and cut it a little higher
yeah.
on that particular week.
So on the 16th, we want them to cut it and cut it high.
Cut it a little higher, yes.
Yeah,
Well, just say, look,
raise the
leave
deck.
it, leave it cut a little bit higher, then you come in, like a half an inch higher, or then you're cutting it just because, hey, we got the patriotic, we'll put a ton of walking on it, so that way the field doesn't get
It's smoked.
doesn't get tore up. The other thing is the water also gets shut off,
Yeah.
so that it won't, burn out. Granted, I don't think that'll be a problem, but the other problem is we're gonna have is the opposite. We had we gotta keep an eye on the water, we're gonna have to talk to them and say, hey, look, right now you can't put significant weight on those fuels, because I know that they pull that generator trailer in there first, and put that all the way over the corner, and that weighs a ton.
Yeah.
Simply because you've got the generator itself and probably 5,000 gallons worth of fuel sitting
Easy,
in.
yeah. why don't we ask them to put it on the road? Not the road, but the,
The access road by the school?
yeah,
yeah, it wouldn't be a terrible idea.
next to the
Well, it all depends
janitor
on,
entrance.
I think it's all how their wires run and all of their, it's all where, you know. So
That's
I
all
think
gonna
it's gonna be something we're gonna have to keep an eye on, and we're gonna have to get a hold of them and say, hey, look, the amount of water and the amount of rain that's on these fields, we maybe start having to look for an alternative location,
Okay.
because unfortunately, I mean,
Mother
I know they
Nature.
like it in the center of town because it's the center of town, but
Well, I mean, it's the best spot for it. The only other reasonable spot would be the high school or Bolton, as far as having enough room, but you're not in the center of town.
Bolton just,
Bolton
You're
can't
gonna run into
support
the
it.
same
Yeah,
issue.
you're gonna destroy Bolton,
And you don't have the parking at Bolton, I mean,
yeah,
you don't have the parking at
Yeah.
Bolton.
yeah. No, I think it's potentially, I think that might be a discussion to have, with the patriotic committee and
Have a backup plan.
the Carneys
yeah.
about,
Well, if the biggest problem is getting the generator on, keeping it on tar,
Well, that's the heaviest
yeah.
thing.
right,
Yeah,
Whether they
have
may-
to bring all of those in with tractor trailers,
Yeah.
like, that's a lot of weight.
that is.
It is a lot of weight, and I don't think it's an unreasonable request to say, please keep it on asphalt. I mean, you know, they set up 5 million different places, I'm sure they have 5 million different ways to set
Tables,
that thing
yeah.
up, yeah.
Whether they end up leaving it over by the, whatchamacallit,
Skate park area.
well, no, they can put it up on that little parking lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where they usually put the porta johns, yeah,
Yep.
that's
Swap
not a
it.
bad idea either.
Swap them. Swap.
So we'll talk to them and just say, hey, look, you know, we gotta keep an eye on the amount of moisture and see.
Okay, alright, that's all I got for field stuff and whack complaints.
Is there a list, a chart someplace that says who's signed up for the various fields? I mean, we're making promises there.
I
Is there
thought that
someplace we
was-
could go look and
I
see?
thought that there was a calendar made,
Yeah, I think
correct?
there is a calendar made, it should be out on the,
Okay.
team drive. I mean, I know.
Therein lies my problem.
I know that Denise put it all out there,
Yeah.
Okay, cause
Gotta
I
get
don't,
into your email. I think it's there.
yeah. And you have your town,
I
you have a
understand.
town, everybody should have a town email.
He
I
hasn't
do
gotten
not.
his yet.
He hasn't gotten it
And
yet.
I just got mine going yesterday.
I'll contact Naomi to see, is she the one who'll give me was it called the team drive or the town email?
Well, you need
Well,
a
you
town
need the town
email.
email,
Okay,
and everything is inside.
okay, I'll contact her.
It's all lives inside the Microsoft
Outlook.
Yeah. Alright, do we want to proceed with, officer elections?
Did you hear back from him?
He said that he is, just completely out of reach and contact, and he does not, have any say at this time. So. Mr. Vice Chair, would you like to proceed?
Okay, so I guess we do have the open chairman position?
Yeah.
Who do we have that's interested in the open chairman position? Everybody speaking what?
Not I.
Not I.
I do not have enough time for that.
I guess it is on me. I know you don't have the time, and I know Kyle said he doesn't have the time, so. Alright, gentlemen, I guess just go ahead and vote and make it official.
So the person we have, the only person applying is Matt Beeler, and the other, people wanna put their names in, nobody to say. So I make a motion to elect Matt Beeler as chairman of Parks and Rec. Do I have a second?
Randy is yes?
Ron is yes?
And Matt is abstain.
You can vote for yourself, I voted for myself last year.
Sure, I'll vote for myself one.
Do we have any nominees for vice chair?
I nominate you.
Nominate me?
I think you're done really good at it. I think you've been very good since I've been on the commission.
And Kristen is the director, so we just wanna make sure that all of you are okay, not considering that as a conflict.
That is a question. I don't know.
That's kinda why I was trying to step away, and
Yep.
just be a member, and not really.
That is a good question. Do we allow an officer, do we allow one family, I guess, to have basically,
Kristen doesn't have a vote.
she doesn't have a vote, but she is on par. And she would be a supervisor of, or not an employee of us, but under our, the park director is under the management of park. So,
Who does the director report to? Are they under the selectmen?
Well, no, they're under us, which is then under, when we're under the select. Unless one of you, two of you wanna put your name into that hat for it. We also have a secretary position as well.
I think the first thing we have to decide is it a conflict of interest for not necessarily specifically just you guys, but to have a commission officer and the park director or a park employee on the same, at the same time.
But as long as she's the director now,
Mhm.
where she's been the supervisor and
Mhm.
the board of selectmen has not had a problem with it, like, as far as me being on the board and being the vice chair, they have not had a problem with it in the past. I'm
Mhm.
just bringing it out so that everybody understands it. And the board of selectmen hasn't said, no, Dave, you can't. They haven't said I can or cannot
Mm-hmm.
be the vice chair, so I'm, as far as, I'm not the, it obviously falls kind of to you as the chairman and then me as the vice chair, but any disciplinary stuff wouldn't be handled by us anyway. It would be
That's
handled-
true.
It would be handled by,
That is true. I mean, I don't personally have a problem with that. I don't think that would be an issue. I think,
I don't necessarily see a problem with it.
right?
Should we ask for some guidance or clarification from
I can speak to Naomi and potentially Board of Select for some guidance on that. If that's what y'all would prefer at this time.
We can leave it, we can leave me in place for now, and then just say, hey, we wanna make sure it's okay that
Yeah.
Dave continues as vice chair of the park,
Yep.
or does he need to step aside and we need to put somebody else in his place because we now have Kristen as the director.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that, if you guys are comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get a motion and a vote on that. That's how we're gonna proceed.
the motion would be that we're gonna ask for guidance on the personnel situations vis-à-vis the director and the members or of this committee.
Officers of the-
Officers committee, yes.
And to remain the vice chair as is until we get further guidance.
Yes.
I second.
You guys wanna do
it doesn't need to be, roll call vote, so. I say aye.
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 And I'm gonna abstain, I'm gonna stay out of it, just,
Totally reasonable.
and that is the secretary position.
Yep.
You know what you two want the secretary?
Now,
Secretary is basically, the only time we really have to have it now is when we go into closed sessions. Because we do have the minute taker who's doing all of our minutes.
So, by our bylaws, I can explain this to you guys, how we wrote the secretary position. In the absence of administrative staff, secretary is responsible for parks meeting records. At this time, we do have a minute taker who watches the videos and does all that, so the secretary does not need to do,
open meeting.
open meeting minutes, right? When we do a non-public session, the secretary would be responsible for taking notes, but not word for word minutes, I believe. The secretary acts as chair in the absence of the chair and the vice chair, right? Basically third in command, third in charge of the commission, should the others be absent. In that role, they would sign whatever paperwork we need to do on behalf of Park. Other than that, that's pretty much all the secretary does.
I'm not ready for that at this point.
I mean, I would have to agree with him that, you know, being just appointed, I don't feel super comfortable. However, I will, if it's gonna help the cause, then, and that's what needs to happen, so be it.
Okay, I was gonna say, I would ask one of either of you, to handle the secretary responsibilities. There are times when it's needed, when I was as secretary, I did roll call recording, vote recording, stuff like that. That's all it entails at this point, so, Ron, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright,
So we need a motion on that?
I'll make the motion to nominate Ron as secretary of Park.
Second that? All in favor?
Need a roll call vote on that.
You do.
Dave, yes?
Randy, yes.
You vote for yourself?
Sure, yeah, yep, Ron, yes.
And I will say yes.
All right, if we have nothing else.
One thing, are we short a member?
Yes, at this point, aren't we?
Yes. leaving?
We're supposed to have 6. We have 5 currently, so we need one more, and then our ex officio was not here this evening.
Okay, I mean, I found out about this, I don't know, because it was advertised somehow. Do we need to have that done again for another member?
We can ask, they put another post up specifically for Park. Where there's usually a general advertisement when people need members. But yeah, we can ask, for that to be advertised, that we're still looking for one, full-time member of Park, and we still are looking for alternates. I will have copies of the bylaws. Again, this is the approved copy through us. Board of Select has not 100% approved the bylaws as written just yet. It's more a formality than anything else, but I will get copies of the bylaws. Actually, we can make a copy of them right now, and you guys can take these home and go over them. All it really explains is exactly what we're doing, and the officer roles and stuff like that. Explains how the membership of Park is managed and stuff like that, so. Yeah, I'll make copies of that when we head out the door.
Okay. Any other future business that we know of? The only other future business would be, is, do you wanna be thinking about getting hold of Ansley? It's 2
Denise put that on the team drive.
We can have that for June.
Yeah, let's put that on the June agenda to address it, and I'll reach out to her and ask her if she put it on the Teams drive, and if she hasn't, then I'll ask for the information from her, so at least we have points of contact.
Last year, we just kind of did, burgers and hot dogs and pasta salads and.
I have
Carson was able to cook for us
Where was it held?
at Chase.
And the date of the next meeting will be, I don't have a calendar, June,
So we're looking at June 17.
Okay.
Third Tuesday of every month is our meetings.
right.
All right, if there's nothing else, I will call the meeting to close at 8:28, according to my phone. All those who agree, or do you have to,
You have to motion it.
I motion to adjourn, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.